So you got your file back from the editor, and it has all these crossouts and underlines and these little highlighted thingies. What are you supposed to do now? Well, if you got it from me, our goal is to have a clean file we can send the printer with none of this markup showing. I want no track changes. That's these underlines and crossouts. I want no comments. Here we'll see one pop up. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to get rid of these things. And I'm using my brand new pen mouse today. I'm still getting used to the speed of it, so let's see how it goes. Might be tricky. First of all, we'll change the view. This is a typical preset view in Word. We're using Word 2011 on a Mac. That's version 14. Yours may look slightly different. So the defaults are words that are added are underlined, and words that are crossed out are deleted. Comments are often shown this way, as a highlight with a little number annotation beside it. You can customize these views to make them more pleasing to yourself. For this video, I'll show you the default. What I want you to do as your editor is I want you to accept or reject the changes. Address the comments or queries. So either solve the problem or write your own comment or call me to discuss it so we can find a solution together. I want you to get rid of as much of this markup as you can by accepting or rejecting. The track changes is in the review ribbon. I'll open that right here. Here we see the little track changes button. It will likely be on when you receive the file. So if track changes are on, I'll just give you an example. As soon as you type, Word interprets everything you do and marks up the changes you're making. If I turn off track changes, anything I do will be hidden. You'd have to just decipher whether or not that change was made. So unless I'm making silent changes, such as things that are required by your publisher, formatting issues that don't affect meaning, you will see it tracked. So to accept or reject a change, there are, of course, 3 or 4 ways to do anything on a computer. I'll show you 2 ways. The method I like is to right-click on an item. So if you don't have a right mouse button, as with my new pen mouse, does not have it, you can press Control-click. Press Control while you click on a Mac, and it brings up this context menu. So here you can accept the change or reject a change. And now we see it's clean, unmarked up text. You can also use these accept and reject buttons up here on the review ribbon. The advantage of these is once you click it, it takes you directly to the next change. So it's a good way to skip right through a document, accepting and rejecting changes until you're done. I'll show you a more efficient way to do that in a minute. You can also use these buttons up here to jump to the next change. And here we see that there's a lot of changes, so it has opened up the reviewing, or what do they call this? The reviewing pane, where it shows all of the comments and all of the inserted and deleted text. I'm going to close that for now because I just want to stick to this method. I'll go back to that a little bit later. My tip for you is this is for efficiency, only reject changes at this point. So if I don't like that one, I'll click reject. If I do like that one, I'll just click next. Open to my reviewing pane again. And I'll continue selecting next for every item that I'm okay with. I'll reject the ones, Control click, that I don't like. Then at the very end, I can click on this little arrow beside the accept button and accept all changes in documents. So that saves you from a zillion clicks in your document. You only have to click to reject the changes you don't like. And then please address the issue another way. If there was a suggested change, it's most likely because there was a grammar error or a problem with the flow or style. If you don't like the change suggested, suggest another change of your own. All right, let's take a look at comments. These words that are shaded represent a comment that's been made. The markup you see in this video is complete nonsense. Don't worry about the X's that I insert just for demonstration. Oh, and by the way, this document is my actual syllabus for my actual on-screen editing course using Word. I've made a lot of nonsense markup in it for this video. So here we see a comment. Teeny tiny lettering, which you probably can't see in the video, says consider calling these lessons as not every course will be separated by weeks. Okay. When I set my preferences, I prefer to see these in comment balloons. So we'll take a look at preferences now. Up here on the reviewing ribbon in the tracking area, the show markup button. I'm going to scroll down to preferences and it opens this window. What I'm showing at this moment is simply this one. Use balloons to display changes, but you'll note also up here you can set the color for insertions and deletions and how they look, whether it's an underline, bold, italic, etc., etc. You can choose a preference that is most pleasing to you. Honestly, when I'm editing for you, I change the insertions to teal and I change the deletions to gray. Red gives me stress. I prefer not to see lots of red markup on the page. But that's something you have to do. Regardless of my settings, you will see the defaults on your system. Okay, so we're looking at a different view right now. I've changed this to use balloons to display changes. Let's see what happens. Now we have a markup area on the right side of the screen. I'm going to move this to full page width again. This is my quick access toolbar. This is customization on my own system. You don't have this. You have an area where you can, and your customizations will look different. So back to the comments. Now we can see comments written out on the side. I can delete a comment by clicking this little X and it's gone. So say for example, I've addressed this and I want to accept this change. We're going to get rid of the weeks. We're going to call them lessons now. This is getting closer to the clean markup, the clean file that I want to send to the printer, to production. I'm just going to undo that so we can take a look at the comment again. Say I have a response for this. I'm going to place my cursor somewhere in the comment, and I'm going to go up to the review ribbon and click New Comment. And now it's linked these comments together. So this is a reply, it's a reply to comment 1, R1. This is very handy for me to figure out the thread of conversation that we're having. I'm going to suggest another fix. If you send this file back to me with this comment, then we can work towards a solution together. All right, these comments can get a little bit small, or they can get hard to read. I'm going to flip down to the next page where I've prepared a sample of how this can get overcrowded. So because we are showing all changes in the balloons now, you can see a difference here. The additions in the main manuscript are now underlined, but the deletions have been moved over here to the markup area. I find this way a little bit easier to read because I'm not having to read through deletions as well as original text. So this is the default that I use. But as you can see, some of my queries now are it's overcrowded and it's not even able to show me more of the comment. It just has this little ellipse button on the side. If we click that, it opens up this pane on the left-hand side. What did they call that? The commenting pane? The reviewing pane. Great. This is handy because you can see the entire comment. All of the longer ones For instance, this one is not showing up at all because there's no space for it to display in this markup area on the document. You can work right in this pane. You can delete things, you can type things. I believe you can also right click. Let's try that. Control click. Nope. Okay, so if we're going to delete anything, we need to move back to the right side, the markup side. Having trouble with my pen mouse again. So if I delete it there, it deletes from this pane as well. So when we have longer comments or we want this to be larger for ease of reading, this commenting pane is very handy. We can even widen it to take up as much space as we need to see our markup. This is supposed to take you right to the items when you click on it as well. Let's try that. Oh, there we go. So I clicked on this part here where it says Ma, and I now see this line has gotten thicker in my document. So I can see exactly the point that we're talking about. The last thing I want to show you is the viewing options up here. So right now we're seeing the final with the markup. And sometimes you'll note that there are problems where there are missing spaces. This happens easily with track changes. I do run checks to make sure this doesn't happen, but we are all human. And it's if you're not used to track changes, missing spaces or extra spaces are likely to happen. So before we send this off, or if you still have track changes on, you can look at just the final to check for those missing spaces. It makes it a little more visual for you. Let's go back to showing the changes. Another handy thing about this area is if you're finding it hard to decipher the change that has been made or want to know why it was made in the first place, you can go back to your original text. This is what it looked like before all those suggested changes. You can also view it from the original showing the markup. So this shows you what you submitted and what I have added versus the final, which is what I'm suggesting. So now we're at that point where we're happy with this document. The rest of the changes that we see here are acceptable. We're good to go. We want to send that clean file to the printer, to production. So we're going to go up here and accept all changes. All the changes are gone, but the comments are still there. I'm going to click on a comment, go up here to the delete area, and delete all comments in the document. Now we have a clean file, except for this highlighting, which is very unusual for a document, so we'll assume that it's not supposed to be there. Everything looks good. Press Control Save, save your document, and you're away to go.